A top focus almost every year as monsoon clouds unleash their torrential downpours, the mega metropolises of South India, like Chennai, Bengaluru and Hyderabad, find themselves grappling with a perennial issue: incessant water logging. Now, this predicament not only disrupts daily life, but also poses several challenges to infrastructure, mobility, and public safety. Now, in this narrative, we delve into the waterlogging saga, starting with the struggles of Chennai, where the battle against the deluge is unfolding. In recent years, Chennai has become synonym with monsoon mayhem as the city witnesses waterlogged streets, inundated neighborhoods, and impassable roads during heavy rains. Now, the aftermath of such downpours often leaves citizens stranded, businesses paralyzed, and authorities scrambling to restore normalcy.
Earlier today, we saw the Union Defence Minister here, Rajnath Singh, in Chennai. He held a review meeting with the Chief Minister, M.K. Stalin, wherein, of course, they discussed the kind of damages that the entire state has seen, particularly Chennai, what relief material, of course, is required to be disbursed, how many teams, whether it's of the NDRF, the SDRF, the Indian Air Force or the Army, how many more teams are required, what is the kind of rescue and relief operations that are currently going on ground. Rajnath Singh, of course, they held a review meeting after having conducted an aerial survey. Now, one thing, of course, that is quite evident here is the fact that even as we are seeing most parts of Chennai, the city, in fact, having recovered from the deluge of the cyclone, the fact is that there are still many areas right now that remain unconnected, that in fact, remain completely cut off with no access. In fact, here we are, we've gotten on top of this truck right now, my video journalist Manish Dhanani and I, and you can see the manner in which, relief materials, of course, are being carried into these areas that are still quite, affected, where there isn't, of course, a lot of, access to basic supplies, whether it's milk, whether it's food. Here you can see that, there are, of course, milk packets, water bottles, some buns here, that are, of course, kept. And all of this only to those people who've not been able to have any access to, food.
Now, against this backdrop, the Indian government has approved a groundbreaking initiative. Now, the Integrated Urban Flood Management Activities for Chennai Basin Project. Now, with a whopping budget of over rupees 561 crore, this project marks a significant stride towards mitigating urban floods in the region. Now, this comprehensive flood management plan aims not only to address the immediate challenges posed by heavy rains, but also to foster sustainable urban development that can withstand future deluges. Now, the project encompasses a multifaceted approach to tackle waterlogging and enhance the city's resilience to heavy rainfall. In fact, the project allocates substantial resources to upgrade and expand the city's stormwater drainage system. Now, this involves the construction of larger drains, installation of advanced pumping stations, and the integration of modern technologies to efficiently channel rainwater away from vulnerable areas. Now, recognizing the importance of green spaces in flood management, the initiative includes the creation of urban parks and green belts. Now, these areas, of course, act as natural sponges, absorbing excess rainwater and reducing the burden on drainage systems. Now, to foster a sense of collective responsibility, the project emphasizes community involvement through awareness programs. In fact, educating residents about waste disposal, water conservation, and the importance of maintaining drainage systems is deemed crucial for the long-term success of flood mitigation efforts. While Chennai grapples with its flood management endeavors, Bengaluru and Hyderabad are not far behind in facing their own waterlogging challenges. Now, rapid urbanization, inadequate infrastructure, and changing climatic patterns have contributed to these cities' vulnerability during the monsoon season. Now, as we move forward in this exploration, we will, of course, speak about Chennai, Bengaluru, and Hyderabad's struggle against waterlogging and repeated flood-like situations, and how the project launched in Chennai should be expanded to other South Indian cities as well, especially the coastal cities. All right, to understand their perspective, let me take the time out to introduce our guests on the show. G. Sundar Ranjan, member, Puvaligan Nanbaragal, environmentalist, Salem Dharidharan, spokesperson of the DMK, Narayanan Tirupati, Vice President of BJP Tamil Nadu, and Dr. Sudhir Krishna, former Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development. Thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time out and joining us here to discuss this. Let me begin by asking you, Dr. Sudhir, the current plight, of course, is a stark reminder and call to action to build cities capable of withstanding these unpredictable and severe impacts of a changing climate as well. And probably it is doubtful that any urban city could have coped with them. And this new project, of course, is definitely the need of the hour.
Well, I think what you have announced, the government of India have announced the project is okay. But I think the solution lies somewhere else. Solution is like locally. The solution has to be found locally. And it doesn't really require so much of government of India's intervention. Why? Because, there has to be a drainage plan for the region. Water does not come to the city just within the city. Water comes from outside the city. And cyclone is one thing, but rain also. The water comes from outside the city, and there is a concept called watershed. So the watershed is a region. Watershed-based region has to be identified, and drainage plan has to be prepared. Whatever rainwater falls in the watershed must find a smooth way into the ocean. That is how for Chennai I am talking. A similarly slightly modified version will be there for other cities,
right,
hinterland cities also. Now what is happening is that we are making drains. When a lot of money comes for construction of drains, immediately construction overwhelms. And we go into concretized drainage, Concretized drains, they do not allow the water to seep in. Concretized drains are normally covered also. I am seeing where I live in Gurgaon, same problem, and everywhere it is like that only. These drains are built at a heavy cost. It becomes a construction project, not so much as a rainwater harvesting and drainage plan, it's so to say. And as a result, what happens, these drains, when they get choked often because of the rains and because mud goes inside, you don't know inside what is there. And cleaning is also a challenge. So it's like too much money in a rush to spend for construction activities does not go well with the concept of drainage planning. Secondly, in the flood-prone areas, what are called low-lying areas, construction activity should not be allowed. If these are the low-lying areas, hold water, excess water when it comes during heavy rains, these areas hold water. But now what is happening is most cities, I'm not talking Chennai alone, most cities, Bengaluru is no exception, and Calcutta is no exception, or no city is exception. In our anxiety to develop, undertake developmental activities close to the heart of the city, the low-lying areas are also subject to development. So where will the rainwater go? It has to find some place. The drain cannot handle so much of rainwater. For some time, the water has to stay. So therefore, construction.
All right, Dr. Sudhir, I have to interject you there. Although, of course, your opening remarks is with the fact that, it is a good initiative, but of course, there will be loopholes as well. We'll get further talking about that in terms of terrain and what this would also mean for other cities. But let me get in a quick word from Sundar Ranjan. Sundar Ranjan, how do you look at this initiative that is taken? Because, of course, Chennai is no stranger to flooding. In fact, the city was submerged in a historic flood in 2015. And as we find ourselves here talking about this new initiative, it is also highlighting the consequences of inadequate urban planning and poor institutional capacity as well?
Okay, it is not the problem of Chennai alone. It is a problem of Mumbai. It's a problem of Pune. Many other cities in the country, which are basically, have grown from a fishing hamlet or small villages into large cities. That includes Chennai also. Chennai, Mumbai, Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore. All these were very, traditional cities that has been placed for about 500 years, or as small fishing hamlets and small, agricultural and pastoral lands that has, got merged into a now mega city like Chennai or Bangalore or Mumbai. So this problem is, applies good for any mega city in India, especially because, countries like, Europe or US, where the countries are, pretty new, like about 200 years, 300 years old. Our cities are, cities are only 200, 300 years old. Our cities are about 500, 600 years old cities. We have from a Pakam, from a Saidapete, all these petes and pakams, Chennai is completely made from small villages. So inherently, there will be issues with the kind of infrastructure that has been created in the last about 100 odd years or 200 odd years or much more than that. So we have to understand that, inherent problems of cities of India, which has been, built over a period of time. And as far as Chennai is concerned, the threat of climate change is very much here, and Chennai has faced the wrath of cyclones and heavy downpour. This time it's a multi-pronged attack on the city of Chennai. It is the cyclone. Since the cyclone was there, the sea level got high because of the turbulence in the sea. So the rainwater, which was supposed to go through the rivers, the Adayar, the Kottalayar, and the Kuam could not enter the sea. So that was an issue. And there was a heavy rainfall across the city. It's not just Meenambakam or Velachery. It is across the city. The city witnessed heavy rainfall, especially in very
Sundar Ranjan, sorry to interject you there, but do you think can we have a common mitigation plan, flood mitigation plan for South Indian cities, or let's say just for coastal cities as well? Do you think that is also an essential aspect?
Yeah, see, definitely there should be and all the Indian cities, not only Chennai, Hyderabad, but Mumbai and every other city should become a climate resilient city. That is what the Indian cities are expected to be in the 22nd century. But today with the government of India announcing the flood mitigation plan, I think the immediate ask from the people of Tamil Nadu and the government of Tamil Nadu is, compensate our damages first. Yes, we want your funds for our climate, flood mitigation, all those things. These are futuristic projects that we need for our cities. I don't deny that. But first, you compensate us. Our SME sector has been completely deluged, and there's a huge loss in hundreds of crores that our small companies in Chennai and Tirumalisai and Ambattur have gone through. So we have to compensate them. There's a huge physical infrastructure damage that has happened in Chennai. So we need compensation for that. Yes, we need the announcement by the Home Minister that we need flood mitigation plans for all the coastal cities of India and also the traditional cities of India. We need that. We don't deny that. But what we need today is we want a proper compensation for the damages that has happened to our city, both in terms of financially.
All right, fair enough point. Let me take that point across to Salim Dharidharan, joining us, of course, from the DMK. Salim, of course, that is something that we've also been talking about as to how citizens had to go through this, the compensation, the loss, and of course, it's not just about Chennai. We are, of course, in this aspect talking about the compensation of Chennai, but larger perspective of how every citizen shouldn't have to be in, this sort of a situation.
Hi, first, thank you for having me in the show. See, these are occasions, these are national disasters, and these are times when we shouldn't do politics. And having said it, I'd like to say the rains in Chennai are unprecedented. We haven't had this much rains in the last more than 50 years. Even if you have to compare it with the 2015 floods, if you look as per the Times of India article which came, as per the Nungambakam and Meenambakam Observatory, 2023, Chennai received about 53 centimeters of rain, and 2015 with only 36 centimeters. It's about 50% more rains than 2015. But if you look at the time it took for the city to recover, in fact, on Tuesday, I was involved in relief activities. I traveled across Chennai, and most of the main roads in Chennai were clear, in spite of an unprecedented downpour. The airport was functioning from, let's say, Mount Road to the airport, or to the train station, or to the bus station, or from bus station again to Coimbatore to the airport. There was no water whatsoever in the main road. So I think for that, we have to give applause to the government. But having said, the recent money that has been announced by the BJP government at the center is just a gimmick, simply because as per the National Disaster Act of 2005, Tamil Nadu should be receiving 900 crores this year. The first tranche of 450 crores was already released 6 months back, and the second tranche of 450 crores were due by July 2023. And now during the flood, that money has been camouflaged and is being released. In fact, if you look as per the RTI, which for details of which I got, Tamil Nadu has so far in the last 9 years requested for about 40,000 crores from as disaster management fund, and we have gotten only about 2,000 crores, which is just about 5%. On the contrary, Uttar Pradesh got 50% of what it requested. Uttarakhand got about 70% of the funds that it requested, but Tamil Nadu only 5%. And this kind of stepmotherly treatment cannot be accepted, because all states are the same. In fact, we pay 1 rupee in taxes and we get only 30 paise back, right? So this 450 crores which had come to us was due already and for due for all the states as per the 2005 Disaster Management Act. Even that part of Chief Minister has requested for about 5,000.
In fact, Salim, I was actually going to ask you if we would see the DMK and the BJP work together, but that wouldn't happen because you're calling this a political gimmick. So let me get in Narayan Tirupati on this one. Narayan Tirupati, of course, you've seen what is happening to Chennai. I'm going to come back to you. Let me quickly go across to Narayan Tirupati. How do you view that? Of course, one statement of the political aspect of it, but this is a step, it's a need of the hour, because we also believe that if it's a good framework, this can be adopted by multiple cities across the country to not be facing such situations when we're talking about it, or rather be better prepared.
No, see, first of all, we have to understand as to why this issue, this problem has happened, despite the government, the state government claiming that they have done well. The problem is that, as rightly told by our friend, Mr. Dr. Sudhir Krishna, and also to a certain extent, Mr. Sundar Ranjan, the unnecessary and unwanted suburban of Chennai. This is the biggest problem. Definitely, that should have been controlled, but in the last, say, I don't want to go with the parties, last, say, 30, 40 years, Chennai, you have given everything, all these constructions, rapid constructions have come in the water bodies. So, the desilting of water bodies has not happened. And also the constructions in water bodies has led to this disaster. And number two, the stormwater drains, which were supposed to be built a long back, not in the last 2-3 years, but a long back, that has not been done. And what are some percentage of stormwater drain, as rightly said by the DMK spokesperson, in some places the stormwater drain worked, but in many places the stormwater drain did not connect it to the rivers or the water bodies. This is the biggest problem. And also, we need to understand the roads in Tamil Nadu, entire Tamil Nadu, there are no roads for the past 2.5 years. The DMK government has not spent even 1 rupee on roads, particularly Chennai. These are all the problems. Now, coming back to this particular fund, NDRF or SDRF, my friend, spokesperson of DMK should understand that. He should, first of all, please understand that this NDRF and SDRF are a corpus fund, which is for a specific purpose, and there is no money in that pool, okay? We need to understand whatever the states agree. The states agree this about the fund. You can't say that it is a stepmotherly treatment. Some state has done more, some states have been given more. That is the agreed one by the states and the center. We need to understand this. So there is no point in abusing or criticizing the center, because the state governments had accepted this according to the disaster in the previous years or the history. We need to understand this. So now this integrated urban flood management is definitely a good one. It will definitely improve the urban flood protection infrastructure. It should have to definitely protect. And also this stormwater drainage system should be centralized, and you should have a different set altogether. In fact, as we said, the government claims that in March 2023, Mr. Tiruppugar, who was appointed as soon as the DMK government had come, in March 2023, the Honorable Chief Minister said that in future, the Chennai will not see even a drop of water, even if whatever the big rain comes. That is the statement given by Mr. M.K. Stalin, the Chief Minister, but that has failed. So now he has to prove what went wrong. He has to say what went wrong with Mr. Tiruppugar's committee, what they have given and what they have done and all those things. So it's altogether the
all right. Narayan, as you make those important, significant points, we'll have to get your audio issue also cross-checked by the producer, so we're going to do that in a couple of seconds. But let me quickly take those points that you've made, right? In terms of what you pointed out are the issues that a city like Chennai is facing, or a state overall that Tamil Nadu is facing. Dr. Sudhir, what I would like to ask you is, we know what the problems are, but we're not learning from any of the neighbors as well, because the kind of problems that Narayanan spoke about is also something very similar to what a city like Bengaluru has also seen when it rains. Why are we not learning from that? Why are we not having better, effective solutions, in your opinion? What is it going to take?
Actually, the planning framework is getting overwhelmed by the desire for construction and commercial activities. When an industrial entity or commercial entity comes forward to set up a plant or set up any big office, like maybe a software company wants to set up a major office, then the state government just goes all out to accept whatever they want in the process, and they want land in the first instance. It is all over the India. I mean, I'm not of Bengaluru only. Every city that is a problem, and we have to find a solution to that. And in the process, in the desire to grab this project or grab that offer of investment of so many 1,000 crore, they would give away. Where is the land now? In the city, the lands are such which ought not to have been put to development for decades or even centuries, which may be Maidan, which may be low-lying area, which may be tank bed, or so on. So these are the lands which were holding rainwater everywhere, and this is a big problem now. So we have to have a consensus. I'm sorry to say that Government of India funding will not be required unless these state governments and the municipal bodies and the local planning authorities, unless they gear up to accept that they have to keep the area, region and the locality and the city, free of flooding. No amount of drain construction will help. Olden time in every city, there used to be wide nalas. They were called so much name. In Bangalore, it was called Raj Kalue, given so much respect. It is government controlled. Now all those are converted into very narrow drains, concretized drains covered from all sides. It's not going to work. So therefore, I think a rethink is required. A very serious action is required. Guidelines are available. The Ministry of Urban Development guidelines called URDP FI guideline, Urban and Regional Planning and Development Frame guidelines are available. Everything is there. Now we have to make up our mind. Not so much money. In fact, water and water bodies generate wealth. If you have good water bodies, people throng there, just like Sabarmati river front, it was a nala, which was like a dungeon. Nobody would like to go there. And it has become full of commercial activities after it is rejuvenated, is full of water with nice embankments. It is generating thousands of crores of rupee worth of business every year. And so many other examples are there in the country. So there are good examples also. Only thing is we have to follow that everywhere. Need not be looking for money from any government, central government or state government. Proper planning and conscious development will lead to creation of wealth. Not only, and wealth will lead to employment and happy living. That is the framework of planned urban development.
Absolutely. And framework, of course, is one aspect of it, but implementation as well is the key so that the ground reality will look different. Let me take that across to Nivedhana as well. With the fact that, of course, rains is one aspect that we get to blame on, but better planning is essential, which is what everybody on the panel has also echoed. And what would be interesting to see is if we get this framework for Chennai, it could be a model city. What would it take for the current government to really establish that so that citizens and, of course, everybody who's part of any of these cities where they go through a flood-like situation wouldn't have to be in a spot where they'd have to ask compensation or accountability from the government?
Yeah, I think as a citizen, we all have to agree that urban planning in all Indian cities are not up to the mark. And that is why when it floods, it's a problem. And I think not just an Indian problem, and I think it's a global problem. For example, even early this year, in January, California was flooded. They had one of the best stormwater drainage system in place. And also stormwater drainage system has its limitations. Stormwater drainage works perfectly as long as the rains are not unprecedented, right? Because when the water level of the sea or the water level of the nearby water bodies, right, becomes same as that of the water level of that of the land area, then the stormwater does not work. So that's why when certain national catastrophes happens, the solutions are very limited, like such as earthquake and so on and so forth. Again, another problem is climate change. As per IPCC report, which says that 4 Indian cities, which includes Chennai, Kochi, and Mumbai, that could be going 3 feet underwater because of climate change. And these are long-term solutions, and for which politics cannot be an answer. What can be an answer is as a decision that we all have to take together, from citizens to civil societies to governments to private sector, to everyone take a conscious decision for the future of not just themselves but also their children and grandchildren. But also I would like to refute the BJP spokesperson, Mr. Narayan Tirupati, at this point when he said the amount was agreed. See, that 900 crores was agreed. That I'm not going into. But my problem is when Tamil Nadu has already requested for 40,000 crores, we have received only 2,000 crores. which is just 5%, when other BJP ruled states have nearly got 50% or 70% of the fund they have requested from disaster management board. This is a problem. This came as an article in several national print paper as well. How much Tamil Nadu has been neglected. This is not just when it comes to disaster management, also when it comes to Kelo Bharat, Tamil Nadu got 13 crores and Gujarat got 600 crores. This despite the fact that Tamil Nadu is one of the highest contributor to GST
I have to interject you there because we're digressing from the subject. But quickly before we wrap up, let me get in a word from Narayan Tirupati. With the fact that what do you think it's going to take for the DMK to be turning Chennai into a model city so that, other cities also can take a cue from that, Narayan Tirupati?
One more point, can I?
Oh, see,
I'm afraid we're short of time, so quickly want to...
Nivedhana, I would like to say one thing again. I think Mr. Sundar Ranjan will accept it. Even in the coming years, maybe even after 10 years or 15 years, the suburban Chennai is not going to get okay because already the government, you just mark my word, the governments, whether it is DMK or ADMK or whoever it is in the last 40, 50 years, the government has encroached all these water bodies, and they have given permission to people to construct. And now water is telling that these buildings are constructed in my way. That is what the water is telling now. So the water has got no way. Water and elephants, both of them will go in their way only. We need to understand. So we need to have a better monitoring. And also the main problem with the suburban places that we were not able to evacuate people from the low-lying areas. So I think we need to plan like that only. We cannot ask the people, lakhs and lakhs of families, which the government has already given permission to construct houses. They have invested so much of crores. So we have to think in this way. And as far as, again, the funds are concerned, please, Mr. Dhananjay should understand that NDRF, SDRF are limited to only a small corporation, which has been agreed by the states. And other funds will go from the department, from the ministries concerned, which I think he has to go and see how the things have gone. So it is just a political statement that the state government asked this much and central government gave this much. Each and every fund will be given from the concerned departments or ministries to the departments or ministries in the states.
All right, Narayan Tirupati, on that note, I want to thank you as well as everybody else on the show for sharing with us your perspective. I'm afraid, Nivedhana, I have to cut you short because we're short of time. But thank you very much for joining us on the show and sharing with us your viewpoints as well. But for the moment, we leave the conversation at that. We're also slipping in a quick break here on News at 7. More news on the other side. Stay with us. We're going to be right back.